So many people talk about wanting to achieve what you've achieved. We're going to expand geographically. We're going to be open in different states. We're going to have huge crews, a large training facility. I have this conversation, what feels like on a daily basis at trade show booths, in business assessments with many, many entrepreneurs. But I have to say, and I'm not just being cynical, this is the reality, very few people actually do it. It's quite rare. So there's a lot of talk. You have walked the walk. And are continuing to do so. And you mentioned something which kind of segues really well into our first big game changer for you, talking about financial controls a minute ago, Tommy. So this is a big, I think, light bulb moment for you, and a big, a huge like trajectory changer for the business. When and why did you make the switch from financial freewheeler to dialed in?
Revenue is for vanity, profit is for sanity. I don't need to talk about our revenue. What I want to talk about is the darn near $40 million I'm going to put in the bank this year. Because that's really what needs to be discussed. I know how to make a lot of money. I just never knew how to keep it.
Right.
And that's one of the game changers. It's so important to understand. I've got a master's degree, which means nothing, by the way. I'm not bragging to you guys by any means. It doesn't mean a whole lot. I learned how to network. I learned how to public speak. But what I did learn through the master's program is the implementation. But the right finance guy will come in. He'll build banking relationships. He'll learn how to lever money. He'll learn how to find things that don't look right on the balance sheet, income statement, and P&L. He'll help throttle you when you need to be throttled. A guy like me I need a no man around me. I need people to say this isn't the right idea right now. And I need people to figure out during COVID, we should double down on marketing because we're buying TV at 1/5 of the price and getting 5 times the viewership. That's a 25 times ROI. So when I got I guess the whole brain shift opened up to really paying attention to these numbers. Big fan of KPIs, but understanding cost of goods, understanding when I can look at 30 markets and find out why is our labor up here, why is the marketing up here? It lets you really understand. I've always got a lot of kind of focusing on who's winning. And when you got winning markets, you could actually pull out what's working.
Right.
And by getting somebody that understands these things. And here's the greatest news. There's a lot of things out there that people don't understand. The Augusta tax law, R&D credits, the PPP money that a lot of people got. They understand we bought a building next door in an opportunity zone. So the right financial people in the company, they open up, you pay less money to the government legally because you're doing accelerated depreciation, doing cost segregation studies. And I know this stuff sounds French to a lot of people, but it did to me too until I got the right people. So if you don't have the money to go out and get the right people in your finance department, you got a lazy bookkeeper that barely can keep track of what happened last year, invest in a fractional CFO or get a consultant. Because fractional CFO, sometimes they make $500,000. But if you're using them 5 hours, you're only paying $50,000, but they'll put in easy ways to track how you pay your bills, billpay.com. They'll track how to use the best credit card points and get a lot of free stuff that you're going to spend in the future. They'll learn how to get money. Now when you need it, you never get money exactly when you need it. You get it when you don't need it. So the light bulb went on when they started bringing me data, and I went, oh my gosh, we need to get out of home warranties. It's 80% of our problems, 3% of our revenue. And they showed me the facts, and it's indisputable. Right. So getting someone that's confident in the numbers and understands, and if you walked in here now, we do an internal audit every year. We literally go through and make sure everything's perfect. The bank loves it because they've been audited by one of the big four. We did PwC, PCW, something like that. And believe it or not, I'm not very involved in that piece of it, and I don't want to be.
He doesn't even know.
I want to focus on my strengths. I've got a superpower: marketing, sales, getting people encouraged to win, bettering their best. Why would I ever want to reflect and become great in the accounting department and try to master that skill? So I hire for my weaknesses.
Well, but it hasn't always been this way. Do you remember a time before a lot of this infrastructure was built, a lot of these people were brought in where your visibility was just not where it needed to be, and any trouble that got you that got you in, any oh shit moments? Like, let's go back to early days, Tommy. Like, what was it like before all of this support and dashboards and better tracking? It definitely, this wasn't always the case.
Oh, I would say 2015, my general manager walked in my financial guy's office and saw him watching naughty women videos. So that didn't go very well. That's what he was doing with most of his time, I think. So I thought I thought you don't know what's good until you really understand what great is and get to see it. So hindsight is 2020, as they say. We were moving into this new building about 4 years ago, and the SBA loan hadn't gone through, so we did a bridge loan. And then all of a sudden, I got very involved because I'm getting this loan and I'm looking at the financials, and I realized we were in a lot of trouble. We made so much money. I don't know how, but without that financial advice, we barely, and I'm talking by a straw. I remember going to my neighbor's house who was a controller at a company, and I said, things are not going as good as I thought they were going. And it was just this bright light that said, dude, you need to go in here and start working on systems and start getting higher conversion rate, better average tickets, lowering your cost per acquisition, and focusing on the business at hand, because I was always push, grow.
Yeah.
I'm reinvest. Here's what I find, Benji, is a lot of companies, they say I'm reinvesting in the company, but they're really just not making money. They don't know where the money is. I think Ellen Rohr wrote a book. It's amazing. She wrote it, Where Did the Money Go? And that's what I used to say. Where's all the CPA would call me up and be like, you owe $2 million. And I go, what? I don't even have that in my account. How is that possible? And I think a lot of us go through this, and the financial clarity with the right people is just, it's God sent, and it's amazing, and it's something you should cherish. And it's something everybody should have.
Oh, some people say they're reinvesting in their business, but really they're just not making any money. I think that is a tough pill to swallow, but a necessary one for entrepreneurs at times.
To what Tommy was saying around revenue being such a vanity metric, profitability equals operational excellence.
Right.
Like, your level of profitability is the scoreboard, right? A company that is great at marketing and has tons of leads, that has a great sales process with strong people in it, the good training systems, operational controls, all this stuff, is going to be highly profitable. If you do not have those things, your EBITDA, your net profit margins at the end of the year, are going to be low. And what I love about what Tommy said there around, like, everything really comes down, like, profitability is sanity. It's that is your ultimate measuring stick. Like, are you a strong operator or are you not? You will know in your profitability. Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm curious, Tommy, like, has it been your experience when it comes to, especially like financial professionals? You mentioned the fractional CFO thing. You mentioned some of the talent that you've brought in for your team. Has it been your experience that you get what you pay for in this category?
Yes and no. I mean, a lot of people come in saying I got all the experience. What I would really draw upon is the past clients they've worked with and really see if you could analyze their success. And I'd love to talk with them, find out the reports that make them make critical decisions. What happened when something didn't go right? What are some of the expenditures you guys have spent and actually received more on? Building the team. I talked to a 400 million EBITDA company yesterday. We talked for a couple hours. And what I found is they have 10 analysts. The customer journey is dialed in. They've got their supply chain dialed in because of the analysts and because of the way they think about things. And they really understand. They've got 200 landing pages for different things, so they understand why the client is coming to them. And I don't want to go into who it is because that's not right. But ultimately, what I love about that is these are the people I'm surrounding myself with. You might say, man, Tommy's made it. Heck no. I'm in the beginning. This is the first chapter. This is nothing. Like, when I go around a 400 million EBITDA company, that's 10 times bigger than I am.
Yeah.
So it's like you start hanging around in different groups.
Yeah.
And it's like going golfing. If you were to shoot four over, you're not going to go hang around with a bunch of 20 handicaps. You want to go to somebody that's shooting 3 under. Mm-hmm. But you can't go to somebody that's shooting 20 under because, well, not a lot of people could do that. I don't think that's possible. But the point is, you want to always better your best. You want to put yourself around with people that are winning, that are better than you. And I've really focused on that, hanging around the right people.
Yeah, I just want to point something out. We're not far into this awesome conversation, and we've talked now twice about 2 different instances where Tommy's gone and spent a bunch of time with real heavy hitters, right? Like, even just in his last couple of minutes, we talked about in 2012, when he was running a small business. Like, what would you been doing? Maybe a few million in revenue, I'm assuming, right? In 2012, you're hanging out with...
Yeah, it was like 3.5 million, yeah.
Yeah, 3.5 million. He's flying to go see a company in a different industry, how they operate in HVAC, doing, I think you said 500 million in revenue. Now he's understanding what a company that does 400 million in EBITDA looks like and how they operate. It is an interesting, it is just interesting to look at that mindset. Before we move on to the next point, this next kind of game changer, I do just have one final quick question on this financial controls piece, Tommy. If somebody's listening to this and they say, man, I am nowhere as efficient as I should be. I know that we've got tons of holes financially. We need to better structure our financial systems, but I cannot afford a full-on CFO. You talked a bit about this concept of a fractional CFO. Where would somebody start right now? Like, where would they look? How did you go about it? Do you have any advice for somebody in that situation right now?
Well, my best advice is I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all. There's 10 ways to the top of the mountain. But what I would do is I would rely on successful people. You'd be surprised if you just, my favorite 3 letters are ASK. If you ask successful companies, they're more than willing to share. So we went out and we hired a really great, amazing recruiter. And I got an amazing president of the company that helped build that side of the team. So I needed to go to an amazing recruiter, a fractional CFO. There's several sources of these, but there's proven track records, and you got to do diligence. But the difference is, here's what everybody's saying. I know I need to do this. I'm going to write a note. I'm going to put it under my pillow and wait for the note fairy to come, grant it, and it's all going to come true. You need to implement today. You need to make action. I don't care about next week. I care about what your actions are today. Own your schedule and get action taken. And don't let anything distract you. You close your door and you say, I'm busy working on the one thing. And this is the most important thing that's going to move the needle, and it's going to set me free. It's going to be more time with my kids, more time with my wife, who happens to want to leave me because I'm so busy, so little time into her life and my kids' life. You know, I'm not married, I don't have kids, but ultimately I see relationships torn apart because they live in this continuous grind of firefighting, and it gets old, and it makes you get gray and bald and not want to be around very much. And it's a scary life, and I know what it's like. I don't have kids, but I got a niece and nephews, and I know what it's like to spend time with family and start doing things a little bit different.
CFO or fractional CFO, depending on how large or small your business is, go make it happen.
Listen, if you like that clip, you can watch the full episode by clicking here. If you're not yet subscribed, you probably should be, and you can do that by clicking right here.